Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 8 for this season, the mid-season finale. Crazy enough, I know we have Crisis next week, but still the mid-season finale. This is otherwise entitled The Last Temptation of Barry Allen Part 2, but of course, let's watch that trailer.
Ramsey's spreading his infection.
Barry?
He's gone. That's not him.
I'm not giving up on my husband.
If you go out there, you could get infected.
Flash, this isn't you.
It's everywhere.
The Flash, new episode next Tuesday at 8/7 Central, only on the CW.
So, yeah, wow, that episode looks pretty good based off that, but of course, it is coming off arguably the best. No, I don't think arguably. I think it is the best episode of the season and one of the best of the entire Flash show. I think it definitely earns a spot in the top 10. I think it was very similar. I don't know if a lot of people are comparing it to this episode, but I did mention in my review, I think it's very similar to The Runaway Dinosaur in regards to, I guess, the purpose of the episode. So I think it was really well done. And I can't wait to see how they follow it on into this episode, part 2, episode 8. I'm incredibly intrigued. But of course, last episode we saw Barry infected by Ramsey Rosso's contagion due to giving a blood transfusion to Ralph. He ends up getting a bit of the Ramsey Rosso's contagion within himself, and Ramsey's able to potentially wreak havoc and get through him. This eventually sees Barry pretty much rebelling against the Speed Force and Ramsey taking full control, and Barry officially becoming the Negative Flash, which is pretty insane. It's going to be interesting to see if that is just a thing for this episode, or if that's going to lead into some other stuff in the back half of the season, because it could lead to something else, or it could just be for this episode. That's for us to wait and find out. But of course, before we break down the trailer, let's quickly go over the synopsis or description for this episode, as it does give us a bit more of an idea as to what's going on. But of course, before that, be sure to let me know all of your various opinions in the comment section down below throughout the video. What are you looking forward to the most in this episode? Do you have any theories as to what could happen or how it ends? Let me know all of them in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're just excited for this episode, why not drop a like on the video to show that excitement and hype. With the Flash battling Bloodwork, Iris and Cisco fight to help Barry take control before he's lost to Ramsey's influence. Meanwhile, the rest of Team Flash fight to reclaim Central City from Bloodwork's growing army. But to start off the episode, we obviously see Central City under Ramsey's control. The infection is definitely spreading rapidly. Now, obviously the best thing to compare this episode to is if you think back to that hospital episode, which was episode 3 or 4. I think it was 4? Or 3 or 4, whatever it was, where we had, it was a quick hospital scene, but it was still pretty insane, where we had basically all the dead patients come back to life through Ramsey's control. And imagine that, but on a citywide scale throughout Central City. It's going to be insane to see necessarily how much of a control Ramsey gets on Central City, because this is very different to what they did in the comics, but I think it's better and a bit more suitable for TV. Like in a comic, I think it just works the way they did it, but in regards to TV, I think they had to do it a different way just to make it a bit more, I guess, threatening and just hype up the scale a bit. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how just all of Central City is just, well, not all of it, but definitely a decent amount of it is just under this Bloodwork control. However, it is going to be interesting to see if the people that are infected don't die, because from what we've seen previously, when Ramsey pretty much takes control over someone, they die afterward, like they turn to mush. That's what we saw. So I don't think they'll let that happen. There must be like something that happens where they're able to stop this from happening, but I have to wait and see. But we of course do see Barry as the Negative Flash in their apartment with Iris. Now, I wonder what necessarily, like if Barry's out on his own, what his purpose is. Like, why does Ramsey send him out, or does Barry go and do it himself, or is Barry just returning to a familiar spot? I'm intrigued to see it. Or is Iris important? Does Ramsey need Iris or something like that? I'm intrigued to see what they do here necessarily with Barry as the Negative Flash. He looks so creepy. Like, he looks really weird. Like, I think he looks creepier than Ramsey. I think it's the fact that he is like has a mask on. It's almost like a Black Flash, Zoom, even like really evil Reverse Flash sort of thing. It looks super creepy. And I wish we actually had maybe like 2 or 3 episodes with him as Negative Flash, but I understand that like taking your main character out and making them evil and probably like a really small speaking role isn't the best idea. So it would be cool to see like multiple episodes of him as this Negative Flash, which we could, but Crisis is coming, so that's highly doubtful. But I'm interested to see what they can do with him in these, like, you know, in this singular episode. Now we can hear like Cisco sort of talking down to Iris saying like, oh, don't go out there, otherwise you're going to get infected. What the hell are you doing? Now it does seem in this episode we're going to get a decent sized Iris and Cisco sort of team up. I know from set photos they're like sort of out there trying to I guess, get to Barry within what he is now, because even though Barry is like under the control of Ramsey, there would still be some Barry like within there that's still breachable in some way, shape, or form, whether it's like a slither or, you know, maybe it's a bit of half and half. It's just that the negative Flash sort of side has the external control for now, if that's the best way to put it now. We've already seen Iris and Cisco team up, you know, throughout this season. They work pretty well together as a pair, so I'm excited to see what they do here. Obviously, it's probably not going to be in a very comical way. It's probably going to be in a very serious way, but they work well together, so let's look forward to it. In regards to other people teaming up together, we do see Camilla, and I think it's Cecile. It looks like under threat. I'm guessing Allegra is there as well, just because it looks like they're within the realms of the what do you call it? The Central City Citizen, or that building in general. But yeah, so it looks like we're going to get sort of like a side story following them and seeing how they might get away from a threat within their building. We can see like a guy there, so maybe he's just infected and they're just running away from him. Might just be a quick side story just to get their point of view. I wouldn't expect too much time with them, but who knows. Now, we do see that Joe is trying to get through to Barry now. As I was sort of alluding to before, in regards to whether like Barry is like within there, I guess the big question is like whether Barry is simply a puppet of Bloodwork, or is this version of Barry like sort of under control of what he is doing, but he's just like has like a negative mindset, and he almost has like the mindset of Ramsey. Is that what's going on here? Or maybe it's a bit of both. But because from what we've seen in the past, it seems like the people that Ramsey infects are almost like a puppet. So he can control them when he doesn't need them anymore. He disposes of them and they sort of just die away and turn to mush. So it will be interesting to see if Barry has a mindset of his own, because if that's the case, then it should be more attainable for like whether it be Joe, Iris, Cisco, or someone else to get through to him and try to like snap him out of what he's doing. I'd say he's maybe a bit of both. Like maybe if Ramsey wants control, he can control him as a puppet, but if he just wants him to go off and do his own thing, then it's more Barry under control, but who knows. Now, Caitlin and Ralph are elsewhere. Like, does say like Team Flash, like fight to reclaim Central City. Obviously, that involves everyone outside of Iris and Cisco because they're focused on Barry. So it will be interesting to see what Caitlin and Ralph do, or maybe it's Killer Frost and Ralph most likely. I don't know. I'm trying to remember from set photos of the stuff, but we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I'm guessing they'll just be going around trying to save people, you know, from what's going on. But yeah, once again, have to wait and see. Now, obviously, last episode, we did have that quick sort of scene with Nash Wells when he was breaking through that wall. Now, I'm going to do a video specifically on what he did there in the next couple of days, because what he did there could actually mean a lot for Crisis. I know it should be a lot for Crisis, but what he actually revealed could mean much more than people are already thinking. So I'm going to do a video specifically on that and trying to break it down as best as I can, so keep your eyes out for that. But we should get a big scene with Nash throughout this episode. I think it's meant to be maybe like the last scene of the episode that directly leads into Crisis. Whether it be that he becomes Pariah or something along those lines, or he just breaks through into the Monitor's hideout, whatever it is. Interested to see what they do there, because the constant debate has been, like, since they announced Pariah, is whether this version of Wells becomes Pariah or it's someone else. But this episode should tell us, you'd have to think, hopefully. Now, there were promo images released for this episode earlier in the week, I think maybe like 4 or 5 days ago or something. They don't really reveal too much. Like, it's just Team Flash looking upon something, almost like they're relaxing, but also looking upon something happening. But as you can see in some of them, Barry is back to normal. He's just normal Flash. So this is definitely towards the end of the episode. I'd say the last 5, maybe 10 minutes if they want to extend it to that much, but I'd say 5 minutes. Maybe they're looking at something to do with Crisis. Maybe it's what Nash does in the episode. Maybe it sets off some alarms or something along those lines. I'm intrigued because, as we know in Crisis, like, Barry is like, oh, okay, it's starting now. It's not like Barry's in the midst of it or something and just gets picked up randomly. Like, he's doing something else in that episode, and then he gets picked up by Harbinger. So Crisis shouldn't technically start in regards to, like, Barry knowing that crap's going down, like an antimatter wave hitting them or something. That shouldn't happen at the end of this episode. Maybe it could be the signal that goes off, which Barry then runs after, and it's just Harbinger setting something off to, you know, lure Barry in. That might be what happens there. If anything, that might be the bet. Let's just go with that. That might be what happens. It's Harbinger setting off sort of like a triggering alarm thing to take Barry away from Team Flash, and then that's what sets up Crisis. Maybe that's what happens there. But also in this episode, like, we should maybe be expecting not complete setup in regards to the back half of this season, but maybe just some minor seeds planted in regards to the, you know, what we're going to get in episode 10 and beyond, like in regards to Black Hole, maybe a tease at potentially who the villain could be. I don't know if they'd go that far. It depends if Negative Flash plays a role in what happens with the back half villain. Because in the comics, Negative Flash doesn't just end with Negative Flash, it leads onto stuff in the comics and future storylines. So I wonder if the show will do that as well. And this show, well, the Flash this season is really taking from DC Rebirth, and Bloodwork and the Negative Flash stuff is from DC Rebirth. Black Hole is from DC Rebirth. So you'd have to think they might go with a DC Rebirth inspired villain as well for the back half, whether it be directly associated with Black Hole or just somewhat, intertwined or somewhat connected. So maybe we might get some setup in regards to the back half villain, but if anything, I just expect a little tease or maybe a name drop. A name drop is probably the biggest thing I would expect, maybe in regard, like instead of like seeing the villain and who it could be. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over in this video, what you're looking forward to most in the upcoming episode based off this trailer. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.